Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Game over.
No, I think if you look at a guy like Kobus, I think he's playing exceptional rugby, and for that matter, and the same with Mani. I think Mani and Andre is probably a little bit different in the sense that I think if you look at the cumulative number of minutes that Andre have been playing for us or rugby this year is probably one game if you count all the minutes together. So we slowly building him up after his injury, and I think with Mani, is probably our informed fly-off at this stage. Not probably he is, I think Mani started for us, I think we lost one game this year with Mani starting at 10, so obviously he's in form and the team performs when he's the starting fly-off, so it's just as simple as that.
Time has gone 8 minutes after the 6 o'clock. My name is Brian Mofokeng, standing for Andile Ncube. Welcome to it, Sports Night Amplified. Yeah, I tell you, one thing that is very nice, I got to say, big up to the guys who touchdown on a touchdown, literally caught it all going. I mean, right at the end, I was dancing, bouncing around. There was nothing wrong when the building was shaking. It was just me dancing, trying to get to the groove. These are some of the things that happened. And Tabeleng alongside Lindy as well as Morena. Thank you for holding it down. Nice one. Tabeleng was saying that it's been the longest 2 weeks. Yeah, she really had fun. I really look forward to that. What's coming up on today's Friday, by the way. So Friday is Postcard Friday. We do have the Biso. Biso is going to be the man that's going to holding things down. Biso Snap, social media creator, as well as digital manager. We've got Mark Haskins. My regular partner in crime, on a sister station whenever you hold things down. And Dr. Mnandi, Spuyam Konza, one of those going to be coming out from Bafana, chief defender. Now, Mark Haskins, when you go through your profile, we need a whole show. Mr. How's it?
I'm good. It's nice to be here again. Good to have you here. Good evening to the fellow panelists and to the listeners of the number one sports show in Mzansi.
Yeah, it's sounding more like, in Parliament. So sit down. Malcolm is one is pressing the buttons. Timmy Miranda is the man that's in charge of everything overall. Also, Tabonkwala is the one is make sure that we sound good post the show itself. Today is the 13th of October. Friday 13th. No bad luck. Don't worry. It's not going to be any Freddie Mercury or Freddie Krueger story here today. So the number to get hold of us, 086 0002160 or 060 5527303. That is a WhatsApp number. My name is Brian Mofokeng, as I mentioned. Now, let's really start things differently. We'll also have Opta Jabu later on because Bafana in action against Eswatini. That's another interesting game to look forward to. The draw happened. We'll talk about that as well later on the show. And also going to get a few opinions coming in from the three gentlemen in studio. I call them the three musketeers because, last week I was listening, I'm thinking to myself, go rough, 12 minutes after the 6 o'clock. So it is Podcast Friday where we're going to having opinions. A lot of them they're going to come through. Now, Kemet Erasmus has come out, to say, you know what? Yeah, people seem to be getting that pin number from Mamelodi Sundowns, the way they're playing of late. And, everybody's saying that somehow teams are learning how Sundowns play. So they're really trying to go out there and cancel them out. This is what Kemet Erasmus said when he spoke about Mamelodi Sundowns and the planning from Coach Jose Rivero.
Like for us, it was just to be composed in winning the ball high up the field, which we lacked a bit, and I was willing to choke them until they vomit, basically, because with the way I'm trying to show my teammates how we need to press was just what I was trying to do, because we have the win. There's no way, no matter how comfortable you are as a team, there's no way you're going to come out if I'm trying to press and these guys react to what I'm trying to do. We're going to win this ball here and we're going to try and score.
Kemet Erasmus won his third MTN8 title in a row. Boy, oh boy, what a nice stuff. Now, gentlemen, let's talk about this. You guys watch the game regularly. You talk about a whole lot of different things. You talk about the pressing traps. You're talking about this, different things. Now, Kemet is talking about that. They now seem to have a way and a formula of how you play against Mamelodi Sundowns. What do you think? Let's start with you, Dr. Mnandi.
Thank you, Ngiyabonga. Just khona ezimnandi zibuzwa la sesifikile. What is key, Brian, about the pressing? It's not just about pressing to win the ball. It's also winning the ball in their higher positions. And immediately it starts. Sundowns uses it to be a playmaker. By using anti-playmaker, they win it and immediately they start playing from there. So I think Pirates applied the same thing. But I think most of the teams when they play Sundowns, they need to start learning to manage space, time and numbers more than the Sundowns, because they'll dominate the position. But I thought Uyoze came up with a very, very good tactical plan. You could see Pirates were different in terms of how they're pressing. We've seen a team going so high to make sure that Sundowns doesn't gain momentum from their pillar. Because if you build up a Sundowns, when it gets to consolidation era, that is where the danger starts. But again, seeing Kemit as a reference point gave Pirates a bit of depth, and now it forces Sundowns to play the different way. No, they're not going to play long ball, but it forces Sundowns to play a different way. That is why, tactically, I thought Jose got it correct. Not because Sundowns Pirates have won, but you could see in the game that Sundowns were not the Sundowns that we know, that it dominates the game and then possession.
Mark?
Yeah, I think what you can definitely say, and what Kermit is also referring to, they mentioned specifically the wind, because the wind played a massive role in the cup final.
Yeah.
And he speaks about pressing them because they were against the wind. Even if they try to kick it out, the ball was like just hanging in the air, and then they can still, press them forward.
Yeah.
So I think he was saying, and one thing he's speaking about as well, as the striker, you initiate the press. So everyone else reacts off of you. And that's why he's saying, if as soon as he presses, the way the entire team reacted to that press was what was so important for Pirates on the night. Even a Miguel Tim, Skizo and I were talking off air. We were speaking about how high Miguel Tim was pressing. He's normally the deepest lying midfielder, but he was pressing right up on the Sundowns 18 area. And that was when, they really suffocated Sundowns. And it was when, in the first half, especially when they were playing against the wind. But yes, I think tactically, Pirates got it spot on. You have to give credit to the coaches. They did exceptionally well.
But I can say, Pirates played in the same wind. They played in the same setup, and they played in the same setup. So surely...
But that's why, for me, they used the conditions to their advantage.
Yeah.
If you look first half, they literally suffocated them on the edge of their 18 area. Second half, Pirates were against the wind. They didn't go all the way up there. They dropped off because they knew they were against the wind now. If Sundowns booted the ball, then they were always going to be chasing backwards. So they played the conditions, and that was what was so important on the night. The conditions were so drastic that you had to factor them into your planning for the match.
So I see you nodding there.
Yeah. I totally agree with that. I think I saw a report in during the week where Rulani actually mentioned that he was surprised by how high Miguel team was pressing in that game. And Kemit Erasmus speaks about his strategy to push the team forward. I mean, we saw the coach starting with Erasmus up front, Lipasa on the side, Saleng on the side, pacey players that didn't allow Sundowns to have any touches at the back, because they realized that if they press them high, they are forcing Sundowns to play the ball in the air. If they play the ball in the air, it doesn't get very far. And we saw the introduction of Olisanda in the game, who came into the game, and his performance in that game was really impressive. For a player that hasn't played a lot of games, he came into the match and completely fit into the system. So it was good to see that.
For me, when Olisanda came onto the pitch, the first thing I thought was, should put pressure on him. Because when he played, the last time he played was when he played against Steve on 25th of February. And when the first time when he came on, it was literally in the last 5 minutes, he scored an own goal. So that's a player that still comes out. He's still low on confidence because he hasn't played, coming from an injury. Surely, Sundowns should have pressed more on him.
Yeah, I thought for me now, good application from Munda. You are right. Sometimes those things work for Jengai Sundowns. Sundowns knew he doesn't have a confidence. That's number one.
Yeah.
Well, when was the last time he played? February. But again, you have Wunda. I think for me, Wunda is a very established player. He understands the environment, understands the expectations and the pressure. Yeah. I thought the application was in the top level, and you could see he was smart. Less on the ball. Play safe, because sometimes when you overly engaged, that's why you make mistakes. You're trying to impress and prove your coach. Why are you putting me on the bench? But I thought in that application, top level.
Let's talk about this. I mean, you saw at some stage team drop deep. Was it a reason to try and cover for Nda, or was it a different setup?
No. Nda, for me, that was a polished performance.
Yeah.
I think that was probably the most impressive performance on the night, to come off the bench so early in the game when you haven't played in like 6 months plus. That was absolutely phenomenal from Nda, and it's hard to believe that he's only 25 years old, because with the maturity that he handled that game, because it's so easy to come into that game and now want to try and prove yourself, and you just overdo things. He did the simple things. He did his job to the T, to perfection. And what he added as well was a physical presence. You have Mutobim Vala, who sometimes his physical presence, he dominates opposition. But now when you get someone like Nda, he added value in that regard as well, so he can neutralize the bigger guys. And so he was a standout performer on the night as well, based on how long last he's played.
Kenneth Rasmusfeller talks about the importance of how Jose Riviera is able to take out the best of players. Talking about Maswanga, and you just came from SuperSport. And, for me, what was a big thing was that him coming to from SuperSport to Pirates, he came alongside with Zakile Lepasa. That's when Lepasa was banging those goals in. That is why Maswanga was getting all those men of the match performance. But he says, let's saw the different player to the one we saw at SuperSport. Let's hear what he has to say about that.
If you look at how he was playing last season compared to how he's playing this season,
Major
difference. There's a big difference.
No, 100%.
I mean,
a good coach, and we know this. A good coach
the
is
way
a coach
he plays
that
in the
improves
pockets
players.
is so good, man. I'm so impressed by how he's improved, because it's not easy. You gotta use your brain to think in those small areas, and to turn and know when to turn in, know when to be patient, not to follow the ball.
Not
and
many can do
he's
that,
doing that constantly, and to do that consistently is not an easy thing.
That is Kemet Erasmus talking about Jose Rivero, how he actually able to take out the best of players. I see, Piso, you know what I like is that you're on my right hand side, you're nodding. So it's like, I don't know whether this is still the songs from the previous show, or you're nodding because you agree with what he's saying.
I totally agree with what he's saying. I mean, Maswangani, the way he's come into that Pirates midfield, and it's the mark of a good player when you come into a big team and you are given almost a free role, where you are allowed to roam around that attacking phase of the field. He's allowed Ndlondlo to step back into midfield, link up play. We're seeing the best of a Munare now. We're seeing the best of Lipasa. And for me, usually people say that it's the mark of a good coach is improving players. There's a lot of coaches that improve players based on what their strength is. He will improve the defensive players. He will improve the midfield players. He will improve the attacking phase of play. With Jose Rivero, what we've seen is the entire team is improving. We're seeing a Chaine who he gave, or rather Chain, as he wants to be called, who we've seen, improving. He gave a lot of confidence to Elipasa, who was seeing banging in the goals, the midfielders, the defenders, everybody in the team. I mean, Paseka Mako was very erratic, back in his day. Now we're seeing a lot more positional discipline. He's able to even play on the right side now because of that positional discipline. So he's improved the entire squad at Orlando Pirates.
How long does it take for a coach to improve a player, or for a player to be able to get into the coach's setup?
It's different with different coaches. I think there's no textbook when it comes to things like that. What I can say about this coach, though, the players are playing for him, and that for me is a mark of a quality coach. For me, Kermit speaks about Maswangani. I think for me, another standout performer on the day was Saleng. A lot of people, when I say that, they look at me like I'm crazy, because Saleng didn't really contribute offensively, but Saleng defensively gave everything.
We'll talk some more after this. 6:25 is the time on Metro FM. My name is Brian Mofokeng, standing in for Andile Ncube. It is Sports Night Amplified. We continue the conversation. Now, before we went to the break, Mark, you were talking about Munapule Saleng, say that, people were really shocked when he said he had a wonderful performance. You don't seem to agree to that.
Okay. I think for me now there's a difference between Umago Ngibengithi ibhola uyalazi uyalithanda. He loves it. I thought he knew football, and I'll tell you why. Let me qualify my statement. Saleng, big games, doesn't show up. And he's not a exception. That game, he also didn't show up. Yes, from a tactical point of view, he showed up because Pirates won. But if you look at Saleng, we need him for Bafana. AFCON, don't perform. And within the tactics, we need your influence. I think for me now, also Saleng hasn't performed in bigger games. Leading back to the derbies, he hasn't performed. The game against Sundowns, I didn't see him. Let Mark qualify the statement.
Can I be okay? Before Mark quantifies that, let's talk about the fact that was it not the technical play on the day, Mark? Didn't he play to instruction of what he wanted to do on the day from a coaching point of view?
Now that's what I say for me what is impressive, because when you look at Saleng, what's his strengths? He's an attacking player. He loves running at people, putting it in the top corner, making defenders look silly. When you as a player are willing to forego your own personal glory for the benefit of the team, I love that. And that for me speaks to the quality of the coaching staff as well, because the coach has gotten the players to play for the team. When you play as a collective, it's about winning at the end of the day. So Saleng could have been the star performer and then they end up losing against Sundowns. For them, everyone played for the badge, for the name on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back. And that none more so than Saleng. There's one tackle he makes off Temba Zwane late in the game where Temba almost has a clean look at goal.
Yeah.
But Saleng's effort to get there, and then the loose ball fell and Da blocks the second ball, and they just defended. They put their bodies on the line. None more so than Saleng, and that's what I appreciated about that performance.
But Brian, before me,
I'll come back now. Join the conversation 060-552-7303. Do you agree with Mark or Dr. Mnandi? Before you come in, Dr. Mnandi, let's talk about, maybe you might say that he didn't do well because there was a moment where Kemet literally gave him one on the platter.
Yeah.
And he could have converted that. But he decided when there were two players available for him in the inside. Is there some of the gripe, or do you think just he never really played holistically the way you want him to?
For me, I'm always saying, if you're a top player, you need big game temperament.
Yeah.
You need temperament is delivering under stress at all times and quality performance.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the game. Say MTN8 Pirates Sundowns last season.
Yeah.
Did you see Saleng's influence?
Yeah.
Did you see how that's the rise of Saleng that time? Yes, this time the Pirates wanted to win. Yes, we're looking at the tactics, but also key these type of players like Abo Saleng, the young man Mofokeng, those are the players that needs to rise to occasion when it comes to this bigger match because influence Abo needs to be evident to make the team win. But if Saleng is playing a handbrake, then I have an issue, because I expect skillful players to shine when it comes to these bigger matches.
Piece of snaps, you seem to be snapping.
I think it's one of those arguments that is settled by the scoreline on the day.
Okay.
Because Pirates won, you would understand what Mark is saying, that he played to the tactics, and at the end of the day, they got the result that they wanted. They won the trophy.
Yeah.
On the other hand, if Sundowns were to convert one of the chances, then you can go to Kwanza's argument and say, listen, they were supposed to create opportunities on the day. They didn't create as much. So based on the result on the day, I guess you could just say that at least they ended up winning. But I do understand exactly what Mkwanza is saying, that it doesn't show up he hasn't shown up in the matches that they needed, especially for this year.
Okay, when Bafana squad was announced before they played the two matches, the back-to-back matches, there were issues around what the coach said. And he said, actually people do not really deliver that in the right context, the way I put it out. So when he announced the squad recently, Coach Hugo Bros came out and then he took offense when the media started asking questions about Kaizer Chiefs because there's a Mtanzani selected. Let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, I said what I said, but you stop now with that. I just choose players not because they are in Sundowns, not because they are in Chiefs. I just choose players because I need them and because I think they are the best on that moment, on that position. And I don't look if they play Chiefs, Pirates, Chipa, whatever. No, it's not important for me. It's not really important for me.
Gentlemen, Piso, snaps. Let's start with you this time. We're going this side. Let me go to the right first, Piso.
A part of me sympathizes with the coach. I mean, the coach gets asked a question, he responds to the question.
Yeah.
And ever since he answered that Kaizer Chiefs question a month ago, he has been there's been hints of that question coming up over and over again. So I understand the frustration to say, you know what, at the end of the day, I'm just selecting the players that I think are best for the squad. I mean, when he answered that Kaizer Chiefs question a month ago, Kaizer Chiefs were not in the best form at the time. The only players that I think could have had a chance back then were a Modi and a Dupree. But if you look at the players that were in the squad at that time, Mihlali Mayambela was just coming off scoring in the Europa League qualifiers. He won the league in Cyprus. You've got a Lipasa who was on a scoring streak at the time. Pesitao is a key player for the team.
Yeah.
There were so many players that in their positions, they couldn't fit those players in. But now that the coach is starting to select Chiefs players again, there is that question again to say, but you said back then. You see, so it's understandable for him to be frustrated with it.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because I mean, he doesn't select Chiefs players, he gets hammered. He selects a Chiefs player, he gets hammered. The Mdansane one is a really it's such a fine thing for me. The semi-final against Sundowns.
Yeah.
The penalty.
Yeah.
Who was that? Mdansane. Imagine Mdansane, the ref. Now, I'm saying to you, a referee's decision caused all that controversy. Imagine he gives that penalty. Mdansane gets up, he slots the penalty, knocks Sundowns out of the semi-final, Chiefs into the final. Mdansane is the hero.
So?
People wouldn't be it wouldn't be as controversial as it is right now. I almost guarantee you that.
For me, the question, for me, in that instant, Mark, I thought the question would have been, why him?
Yes.
That should have been the question.
But he's got a history in the squad.
Yeah.
That's the thing. The coach has a list of players that he's worked with.
Yeah.
And the reality is, a player playing at club level and playing at national team level don't always play the same roles.
Yeah.
Coaches have a list of players. He's seen certain qualities in those players that he needs and he feels he can use. And that is the case with Mdantsane. Mdantsane's been part of the squad when he was at Cape Town City already. He didn't make the squad now that he's at Chiefs. So the coach knows him as a player. There's certain qualities that the coach feels that he possesses, that he wants to use. And that bottom line is why he's selected in the squad.
But don't you think that coach is massaging Chiefs here? Because of the statement. Last week he spoke about Chiefs Pirates needs to improve in terms of giving Sundowns the competition. Then he spoke about the same thing that he talks about, that Chiefs players are not in the national team. For me, if we look at Mdantsane, what he has done in the last 2 seasons, it's not in relation to the selection, because sometimes we need to understand the criteria of selecting a player. Yes, a coach, you call a player into the national team, you train with him, you see what he can offer, maybe he's using that background. But other than that, if we talk form, then Mdantsane definitely not
if we talk about
in the key position. But I think in this position, the coach, he knows good day.
Can I ask you a question? If not Mdantsane, who then?
Brian, even before that, if I can say, if it was any other coach, I'd say maybe the massaging Chiefs can come in. But this coach has shown from the word go, he does not buck to anybody's demands. He does what he feels is necessary.
But he changed his statement. You remember?
he does not buck to anyone.
No, you're right. I'm not saying no.
And that's why I don't think there's any massaging. I don't think there's any massaging going on here.
You think so?
I don't think so.
Okay.
You ask, if not him, then who? He was talking about Themba Zwane.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Relebohile Ratomo Mofokeng.
In the national team?
I believe, listen to me, I believe that young man is the future of that role in this country.
Is he ready?
He's only 18, turning 19. He may not be ready. But if you said, you're asking if not him, then who? If we want to kind of prepare someone, that boy for me is special, and I think that boy is special.
I will come in and say when we go back, and I think this is where the mentality of South Africans sometimes worries me at some stage, because Spew is asking now is he ready? And I'll tell you what, I covered the Chan tournament, the AFCON under-20s and the AFCON seniors, and also covered the World Cup in Qatar recently. Senegal had a 17-year-old who was in part of the squad continuously until to the top. And he was the best player at the Chan tournament, and he got signed by Mets. So I think we need to start. This age thing for me is becoming an issue because we're using age as a ploy not to have players in certain positions, in certain roles. And I believe for me, if we want to be realistic and want to be able to challenge the world and be able to get the best out of everything else, let's just put the H's in the side and start saying a player is good, let's nurture the player.
Brian, I'll tell you this. Of his generation, he's a standout player purely because, did you see him come on in the game?
I did. He had a wonderful game. Besides his son and Mofokeng, he had a wonderful game.
The conditions, the conditions he came in under. For an 18-year-old to be thrown into a cup final, and the coach did not flinch in bringing him on. Because he knows what he's capable of.
And remember, he's the same player who missed the penalty just a week ago.
Speaks to bravery. Speaks to bravery.
That's BMT for me. 060-552-7303. Now, let's move to another shift. There's something else that also happened. At the end of the game, I know that you guys will come up and say, give me the player of the week and club of the week, just after the MTN8 and the stories that have come up. Let's start. Biso Snaps, I think because you are just behind me, I keep going this side, you're thinking, Konde works with these ones, so he's not going to come to me. Let's start with you.
I think for me, there's 2 players that stood out in this game. Sipho Chain and Olisanda. For me, it has to be one of them. I would personally would have given it to Olisanda because I feel like to come into that game at the time when he did, in the conditions when he came into it, and boss it the way he did. I mean, Sundowns at some point were even trying to throw long balls behind the defense, and he was dealing with those quite easily. You see, so for me personally, I would say Olisanda, who I believe, honestly, is probably the best defender in the league.
So that is according to Biso Snaps, the Sports Night Amplified player of the MTN8 final. Dr. Mnandi.
For me, Miguel team, it gave influence in that midfield. Remember, Sundowns, their dominance is in the midfield. Numerically, Sundowns, they are playing with 4, Pirates played with 3.
Yeah.
So there's a Spearman concept, which Pirates managed it very, very well. But Tim became the outstanding player because he's very intelligent, good experience. You could see when he's in possession, Pirates look lively. And there were moments where he gave those killer passes, but also he became the pressing trigger, especially to make sure that Sundowns don't come out from their build-up. So I thought to Tim, shy span.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Olisa and Da if I had to go with a player. But honestly, performance of the week is from the bench. For me, the technical teams, both sides. I think we saw a 0-0 game. When last did we see a 0 game as entertaining as that? I mean, that game didn't have goals, but it had everything else. It was probably the most entertaining tactical battle. If you look at how the coaches had to try and outwit one another, it was a phenomenal display from the benches, and both benches at that. So we don't give coaches credit all the time. I'd love to give coaches credit today, both sides. Coach Riviero, Coach Mukwena, both of them put on a sterling performance and made a very, very entertaining cup final.
I think in 2005-06, if I'm not mistaken, was the final of the ABSA Cup way back then at the Kings Park Stadium. Similar fashion, Chiefs against Pirates in a final. Tony Shabala got a red card in an encounter towards the end of the game. That was another thrilling encounter I watched, which was a goalless draw. Chiefs won it on penalties at the end of the day, but it was another crazy game. We were just sitting there, breath out and everything crazy. Now let's talk about Asna Shola. I know, I come Nandi.
Yeah.
Which player for you think, or you think from both teams in that final, which one do you think was like,
I think, I'm not saying he's a bad player, he didn't play well, but I could see 9 out of 10 for me would have scored the goal that he missed to Shalulile. I thought he could have wrapped up the game for Sundowns. I know the wind him compromised, but I thought Shalulile in this game, not the best of Shalulile, but Shalulile, when it comes to bigger matches, he performs. I thought also that miss, Brian, him affected Brian, but I'm not saying he's a bad player. Let's understand that. I thought in that game, it was not the Shalulile that I expect in terms of
Mark?
I'm going to move away from men's football, if that's okay, for when we're saying is not make sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this is going to fall squarely on Safa again, and I think once again, a junior national team has failed to qualify or to move past the initial stage of a qualifier. So the women's under 20 team, unfortunately, Basetsana lost against Guinea-Bissau over 2 legs. Burundi. Sorry. Over 2 legs. And again, questions have to be asked. Are we doing enough at the junior levels to really prepare our teams? It's not a lack of ability. We know that in this country, we have ability in bucket loads.
Yeah, true.
Bucket loads. Talent has never been an issue in this country. Why are we failing, especially at the junior levels? But we want to succeed at senior level. Something has to be addressed in that regard. And so I had to throw that one in there.
Quick stats for you. The South African women under 20 team is the only national team here to qualify for World Cup. Yeah?
I think for me, because I mentioned Shalulile, I think for me, I would say the finishing for Mamelodi Sundowns let them down on the day. Yeah. They had a couple of opportunities. Shalulile had 2 of them. Allende had an opportunity also where he put a tame shot for China to save. There was the chance for Zwane at the beginning of the game. They really could have scored a couple of goals in that game. So the finishing for Mamelodi Sundowns on the day really let them down.
Do I get a chance to choose mine?
No, choose Anton.
Let me tell you one thing. I was very disappointed with the fact that Banyana went to the COSAFA tournament and only got players a day before they could actually play the tournament. And they were knocked out of the tournament. As a host nation, Malawi will play Zambia in the final to decide who the champions are going to be. In a tournament we had won in so many times and haven't won it ever since 2020 all the way to now. That's the biggest problem for me.
Someone needs to be accountable.
That's the biggest story for me. So you can join us conversation, by the way, 060-552-7303. So that's the biggest one there. Conversation continues in studio here, Dr. Mnandi. He's in a very fine mood. And Mike is in a fiery mood. And a piece of snaps is more like the advocate. He's advocating. That's why they call him the curator.
Yes.
I thought you only do that on social media. They didn't know you were going to do it here as well. Podcast Friday on Sports Night Amplified with Andile on Metro FM. Powered by SABC Sport.
It is Podcast Friday. My name is Brian Mofokeng, standing in for Andile Ncube, the Sport Night Amplified. You know, one thing that I love about this on Metro FM, by the way, we've got 17 minutes left before we go to the end of this game, eh? Now, Bafana in action as we speak at the moment. Team will actually try and get us the update of the score of that encounter. They're playing against Eswatini at the FNB Stadium, so try and get you an update on that one there. Now, Opta Jabu is a regular. He always gives us the numbers. I always ask him, how does he get these numbers? Because he comes with some crazy numbers sometimes. So he joins us online now to have a chat about this because he has put together, after the draw, so there's also the draw that took place yesterday of the AFCON. We know which group you're sitting in. Let's now go to Opta. Opta, good evening and welcome to the show.
Good evening, Brian. Good evening to everyone. Thank you for having me on the show.
Papers at the back. You always men know the good papers, eh?
Always, always.
All right, let's talk about what have you got for us today. Bafana against Eswatini. Let's give us the numbers.
So they are live right now, Bafana. It's still 0-0, almost half time. But then what we have is that this is their 10th game under Hugo Broos in the last 16 months, and they are undefeated in that time.
Wow.
So they've played 9, drawn 3, won 6, and lost 0 in the last 16 months under Hugo.
Oh. So those are interesting numbers, Opta. You watched the draw last night?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, let's talk about the draw. I mean, Bafana find themselves once again sitting in the same groupings with Tunisia.
Yes, interesting matchups in this tournament. So far, what we have is that Bafana obviously facing Tunisia. This is the 5th time that they're meeting at the finals, having done so in 96, 2000, 2006, and 2008 as well. And this will be their most familiar opponent at AFCON tournament, because they've also met Morocco 5 times at AFCON.
And then there's also...
The game is mixed.
Yeah. So let's talk about...
Record.
Yeah, you can go ahead, Opta, yeah?
Yes, it's a mixed record, man, with 1 win, 1 draw, and 2 losses in those 4 games. So they'll be looking to improve on that one.
Now let's bring in the Malian national team. They also find themselves in the same group as South Africa. I know that as soon as the draw came out, I just started getting messages from the guys in Mali to say, no, you're going to be sitting on top in this one. You are sorted.
Yeah, so in Mali, again, it's another familiar opponent. Hey, we faced them in 2002 and in 2013, but both times it was at the quarterfinal stage. Unfortunately, in each occasion, Mali is the team that progressed because they won the 2002 quarterfinal and then also won the 2013 one via penalty shootout. So again, there's a revenge to be caught there against Mali.
The one that I found very interesting, you want to say something? Biso snaps or nobody? Okay, the one that really, for me, I'm in two minds, and I found myself literally not happy with seeing Namibia in the same group as us because these are our neighbors. We are both from the Kosafa region, so it means one of the Kosafa teams could be knocked out in the early stage of this tournament. I still remember 1998 when Benny McCarthy was introduced to the world.
Yes.
He put 4 past Namibia in that particular game, and he was the first South African to score a hat-trick or more in a game in that particular encounter. So they are in the same group as Bafana once again.
Yes, in the same group as Bafana, even just played recently, and this is a better record out of all the teams. So they are facing Namibia for the 3rd time at AFCON, having won, as you said, in 1998, and they also won 20 years later in 2019. So this is one of those games where we want to be favorites and we think we can win.
Let's talk about the groups now. There's an interesting stat you have put out here on the AFCON winners and also looking at the groups. Can you break that down for us?
Absolutely. So we looked at AFCON since 1996, obviously when Bafana first attended. And what we saw was that if you look at all the winners of the actual tournament, which group do they come from? That's the question that we asked.
Yeah.
And Group A has been the most common group that produces winners, having 6 winners out of 14 since 1996.
Wow. So it is Group A.
It is Group A. So if there's anyone who believes in that, I don't know if it's superstition or what, Group A is the one that's going to give you a champion.
Who follows that?
Cote d'Ivoire, Nigeria, Equatorial Guinea, and Guinea-Bissau this time.
Opta, obviously that's in relation to Group A would generally have the host nation. Is there a link between that?
That's a very good one. It's worth checking out, and we'll look out for that and share it again next time.
In 1986, South Africa were the hosts, so they were in Group A.
Yeah.
They managed to win it. I'll tell you, Egypt also at some stage when they were host nation, they managed to win it in Group A as well. So some of those already answered. But Opta, give us the other groups that actually produce more winners from an AFCON point of view besides Group A.
Yeah, so also we have Group C has produced 5 winners, so it's another lucky group, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
And then Bafana this time is in Group D, and only 2 teams have come out of Group D and won an AFCON tournament since 1996.
Piso snap you and
It's
come
one
in.
of those.
We had to stop a bit to breathe a bit, because now you just become a bearer of bad news now. You know, we were coming so nicely, we're all enjoying you delivering the numbers and telling us group what group. But South Africa is in Group A this time around. Opta, they're not in Group D, they're in Group E.
Are they not? Okay.
Yeah, and then Group E, because remember, we always used to have 4 groups. Now with the 24 teams, we have now moved to have 2 additional groups. So now we have 6 groups as opposed to the normal 4 groups. So South Africa in a group that is going to be, so they're going to make history now, because Group E is the first time we have it.
Definitely.
Let's hope so.
Right, and then what else can, now there's a trivia part of this.
Yes, we always try and have a funny stat, eh?
Okay.
One that leaves people saying, oh, wow,
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the case, because it's traditionally known that Nigeria are always at AFCON.
Yeah.
They are one of the giants of African football.
Yeah.
But then the true fact is that since 1996, again, Bafana has been to more AFCON tournaments than Nigeria. Since 96, Bafana with 10 and Nigeria with 9.
My friends in Nigeria will say 1996 one, we didn't show up. So,
That's
Opta, thank you very much, my guy. You know what? There's one that Mark asked you. I think that's an interesting one to look at. How many times the host eventually went on to win it? The end of being in Group A. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for the numbers there once again, my guy.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure. The Opta Jabu there, you can catch him in Opta. You know, Opta Jabu gives some numbers, some crazy numbers. There was one day he gave a number about how many times players scored sitting down. I'm joking.
Drop us a voice note on 060 552 7303. Waking up, I'm too turned up.
Exe mapara mo studio moji me magaw de busy corner of Motsepe. Guys, bonang. Monna Bule Saling, Camarata is the best player. Mara coming to big matches, playing against Kaizer Chiefs, playing against Mamelodi Sundowns. Ashayini. Oshayina dhalali team izenyani. I don't know why. Mara, abo mfecha ntoko Bafana. Maybe we will show us something. Jimmy Magaw the busy corner of Motsepe dango.
Jimmy.
Gents, good afternoon. Spijo, Bafethu. This thing of saying us, we've got talent in bucket loads and talent in abundance. I feel like we've got talent, but we don't have the talent that we think we have. We don't have world-class talent. We've got South African class talent, which is not good enough in Africa, which is not good enough even in the world. It's not good enough beyond our borders. Because if you check in the last 10 years, what top player have we produced other than Skilo?
the thing is, when we speak about world-class talent, talent gets developed. We're talking about natural ability. When we speak about natural ability, we're on par with the likes of Brazil. If you go pound for pound, take a kid off the street in England, off the street in Brazil, in wherever, the kid from South Africa is amongst the best in the world. What are we doing to harness that talent, to develop that talent?
Structure it.
We've fallen short and we've failed our football because we're not doing what needs to be done.
Okay, let's go to the lines very quickly. There you've got Zola coming from Cape Town. He's talking about a Mofokeng issue. Zola, go ahead.
Hello, Buza.
Right, me out. You can go ahead. Yeah.
Thanks for correcting Mkonza. Mkonza is saying Mofokeng is not ready. Mofokeng is ready enough. The fact that they call him to the A-line, he's ready. That's the problem that we have at Kaizer Chiefs, that Zwane, Khadebe, and the other players, they don't play at Kaizer Chiefs because they are young enough. When you are under 18 or under 21 at Kaizer Chiefs, you are young, and then you are not ready enough to play the games. So that's why that Kaizer Chiefs is not performing very well, because Zwane can play that number 10 that we need there at Kaizer Chiefs, but we're not playing them. And then Mofokeng is playing now. Now Mkonza is saying that he's not ready to play for Bafana. How much more that must he be ready? Must he be 28 years old or to be 35 or 36 so that he can play for Bafana? If you are performing, you must get game time. Like Zwane was performing very well last year. Very well. He was a key player for Kaizer Chiefs, but this year he's on the bench. He never even started even one game this year. And Khadebe is a best player. Khadebe and Dua can do better than the strikers that we have. Look at that Ranga. Ranga is not giving us anything. And then the new striker, Fokol.
Okay, Zola. Thank you very much. Let's go now to Pretoria. We join Mama Lose there in Pretoria. I think I've lost him. David.
Hello. Thank you, Brian and the crew. And my only short story is I want to ask something. We had Risco Sana and we had also Katande Chief. These players, by just lifting their feet, they would get a yellow card. And even where in some instances you would see, it's not warranting that. Yeah. But there is a player in the PSL who is taking off opponents. One day he's going to kill a player, and this man is called Mr. Ncube Mbala. Mbala is always injured, taking out opponents, and the media and the referees are it's normal for him. When he was at Highlands Park, he was not injured. Take him to Bafana, he will never do that. But come to Sundowns team, he's taking out opponents. Can this be highlighted, please?
All right, we'll get to that one there. Let's go to the next caller on the line. Who do we have on the line there? I think we just, let's see. Sinong in Rustenburg.
Hello.
How's it, Sinong? Can go ahead, yeah? Switch your radio off, my guy. Okay, let's go now to Bonginkosi at Dobsonville.
Brian and the crew.
How's it, my guy? Can you go ahead?
I'm good, thanks, and you, my brother.
Thank you, Tim.
No, I just want to talk about Erasmus. We said Sundowns were all over Pirates. Pirates are over Sundowns. So for me, maybe we're watching a different game because Sundowns were all over Pirates because statistics will never lie. If you look at the first half, where Pirates were assisted by the wind, but Sundowns they did have chances, even the second half. And for me, China was one of the match, even the game went to the penalty. So if the referee did make some good decision there, I think by now we'll be talking a different story.
All right, let's go. Thank you very much for that one there. That is Bonginkosi from Dobsonville. Malose, you are back? Malose, you are
Brian,
back?
How are you?
I'm good on you, my guy.
I'm good, man. To the gentleman in studio, man.
Jam.
Yeah, sure. Dr. Mnandi, you don't seem to recognize talent, man. And look, man. Look, Dr. Mnandi. Look at France. Kylian Mbappe collected his gold medal with the World Cup squad. He was a teenager.
Yeah.
Let's allow players like Mofokeng to be there. I think England did the same with Marcus Rashford. I think we need to give our players a chance because we don't want to have a player that is 27 and then all of a sudden he's tired. We have to bring somebody new. We need to have a player that can play long with us. Look at Messi, how long he has played for Argentina. But other than that, I think Mark is also right to say Mtanzani, the coach recognizes that he has worked with him. He is left no choice. Pesito dropped him. Now he needs a replacement. Rather, I take a player that I'm confident can play the position, bring him in the team for continuity purposes.
Just to correct to what you are saying, I didn't say Ratomo is not ready. I was just asking, is he ready?
Yeah, it was a
because
question.
I can tell you right now, for me, from when I look at him, talented, in abundance. But again, what's important, you need to manage integration because you don't just want to influx line up because sometimes these young men, they need to monitor and manage. Someone spoke about Uzwane Chiefs. If was managed very well in integration, Zwane will be a regular now at Kaizer Chiefs. So these are type of things that we need to learn as South African. A key aspect of the game that when the integration, it's important to integrate. But I'm not saying Uratomo will blind.